Yo, what's up guys? Dae'Jon here, back again with another video. So as you guys all know, we've been going through a lot considering this whole virus situation, and people are starting to get really fidgety right now, but that's the story for another time. Today, I know that it's been really hard for us to keep track of our finances, and some of us have been laid off or had our hours cut, and thank goodness for those who still have their jobs and are comfortably working from home safely. Today, I just want to get into a little bit about proper credit card usage. So if you are maybe new to credit cards, or you don't have one yet and you're thinking about, oh, like I think I should get a credit card, but I don't know, I'm too afraid. I think that this video will be very helpful in helping you decide whether or not you should get a credit card or not. And overall, this will just teach you how to properly use your credit card, and just to make sure that we develop healthy habits when using our credit cards. But also, I think this is a good way for us to just make sure we get another look at the foundation of just how to properly use our credit card, so that we don't fall into bad habits, just because of of the overall circumstance and the situation going on there. So if you guys are interested, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so before we get into it, I just want to say that I didn't open up my first credit card until I was about 23 years old. Maybe like some of you guys, I was afraid that if I opened up my first credit card, I would fall into debt, and that really, scared me. It took my brother to convince me that, hey, like, you should consider opening up a credit card because it will help you out in the future, especially when you want to get your own house one day. And I don't know about you guys, but I like the sound of, being able to have my own home. So I went online, and that's how I started learning about credit card, and I started getting all the information. So now I just want to go ahead and teach you guys a little bit of the steps. So let's go and talk about it. We're going to go ahead and break it down into 5 different categories for you guys. We're going to go ahead and start off with category number 1. So your credit history. So pretty much think of it as your credit history is as strong as your oldest account. So technically that would be the very first account that you open. For example, like, you can go ahead and get a Discover Rate card and open that card first. That's going to be the beginning factor when credit card companies are going to be determining how long you've been responsible with your credit. So the longer you've had credit, the longer your credit history. So think of it that way. I don't really recommend people go ahead and canceling their very first credit card. I would encourage you guys to try to keep it open. If you're not using it as actively as you were before, I would recommend just probably putting that credit card in a drawer somewhere and leaving it alone, and maybe use it once in a while to buy like a cup of coffee, or use it to pay for your Netflix or a subscription, just like that, just to show them that you're still using the card. Okay, so just keep in mind, some banks have been known to automatically cancel people's credit cards out of the blue, just because you haven't used their card for maybe a good 6 months or so. But it takes a long time of not being active on that with your card for them to do that. So you may not have to worry about that too long, but just make sure that once in a while you go ahead and just make sure you use it, so that you're still getting usage out of that card. So let's go ahead and talk about number 2, what is going to be your utilization rate. The utilization ratio is the measure of how much credit that you're using compared to how much credit that you have overall. So the companies actually like to see how much credit that you're using. They say that it's best for you to stay within 30% of your credit utilization ratio overall. I personally like to stay under 10%. But let's go ahead and give you guys a little example so that you guys understand exactly what we're talking about here. So alright guys, so just an example of credit card utilization. Say for example you have a credit limit of $1,000, but you use your credit card, and now you bought something worth $500, and that's already 50% of that utilization ratio being used, and that's bad, guys. You don't want to be there. So say you bought something that's worth $300, or you bought like a Nintendo Switch, that was around $300. That's going to be putting you at around 30% of your utilization ratio, which is okay. You don't want to go any higher than that 30%. But like I said, I personally don't like to go over 10% myself personally. So when I use my credit cards, I usually like to stay within just $100 usage. That way, I stay within 10%, and overall it just makes me feel better not using it as much, and it fits my lifestyle. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and talk about number 3, which is probably going to be the easiest part of having a credit card, or at least it better be the easiest part, which is paying on time. Guys, what more can really be said? When it comes to using credit cards, you need to make sure that you pay off your credit or you pay off your bill at the end of every month in full all the time. Okay, don't forget that. So here's kind of how I think about it when I was first learning how to use credit card. So if I had $1,000 credit limit and I bought a Nintendo Switch that was $300, then I'm going to have to pay back that $300. So pretty much you're going to be owing that. So at the end of the month, I will make sure that I paid off that $300 in full, and I never leave a balance at the end. So guys, just be responsible, know yourself, control your spending when it comes to that. Just make sure whatever you use or whatever you spend on a credit card, just make sure to get it in your mind that that's how much you're gonna have to pay back. So guys, that's pretty much number 3. Just make sure to pay off your bills on time and pay in full, never leave a balance. So let's go ahead and go into number 4, which is gonna be your total accounts. So when I was opening a credit card and when I was learning about it, I thought that having more credit and opening more credit cards would hurt me in the long run. But it turns out I was wrong, and it's actually the opposite. Having more credit cards and getting more credit over time is actually going to be beneficial in helping grow that credit score. So let me just kind of explain it a little bit. When I started off, I got a Discovery card, and let's say I was approved for $1,000. So cool, I had a $1,000 credit limit. That's good. And let's say over time I use that card, I kind of get familiar with using it, and 6 months later I apply for a new card and I get the Chase Freedom card, and they approve me for, let's say, another $1,000. So what this is doing is this is just increasing your overall credit. So now instead of having just $1,000 to work with, I now have $2,000 to work with. And I'm thinking, all right, yeah, this is great. So what this is the bigger your overall credit's going to be, your utilization ratio is actually going to decrease the bigger that credit is increasing. I hope I'm explaining that correctly. So pretty much how we're talking about staying below 30% of your utilization ratio. So if your overall credit is actually growing, it's actually going to be easier for you to use your credit card just a little bit more. But like I said, you still want to try to maintain staying below 30% of that utilization ratio, or in my case, staying below 10%. So let's go ahead and talk about number 5. Number 5 is going to be about credit increase. So I don't know if any of you guys are like me, but when I tried to apply for my first credit card, and when I did, I noticed on Credit Karma that my score dropped a little bit. And when it comes to score, guys, we're going to be talking about our TransUnion and our Experian, not our FICO score, which is actually the most important score. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. So pretty much what they do is when you apply for a new credit card, they do what's called a soft pull. And this pool is going to just drop your score just a little bit every time you apply for maybe a loan or an extra credit card. You don't have to worry about this too much. It doesn't really hurt you in the long run. This is actually going to be on your account maybe about 6 months, and then it kind of just goes away. So you just want to make sure that you take into consideration whenever you want to apply for new cards. I would recommend waiting every 6 months or so before you try and open up a new account or a new credit card, just so that you don't want the banks and you don't want them thinking that you're trying to just hop on and grab as much grab as much credit as you can, or else they're gonna think that you're desperate for just the money and they could potentially deny you. So just make sure that you guys keep in mind of your credit card increase. Like I said, try to wait every 6 months before applying for a new card, and just make sure when you're doing that, it's not affecting your FICO score. It's only going to be affecting either your TransUnion or your Experian, which is not too bad. So let's say that you are completely new at getting credit and you want to open up your very first card, and this is going to be your first time doing it. What you can do for those who have tried to apply but it didn't really work out, you can try going to the banks, and you can do what's called what you call is getting a secured card. And what this is you are potentially going to the bank and you're paying them to pretty much open an account for you. So for example, if you go to, let's just say Citibank, and you say, hey, I want to open up a credit card with you guys, I would like to do a secured card. What you could do is you could say, I'm going to put down $300 for this card, and if they accept it, they will actually open up a credit card for you, but they're going to give you the amount of credit as they're gonna give you the same amount of credit as the money that you put down. So you put down that $300, and they're going to give you $300 worth of credit. Now remember, guys, the secured card, I think of it as just a test. All right, so this is a test for them to see if they can trust you with being responsible with credit. You want to make sure you just keep in mind that you don't overuse your credit card when you're in the beginning stages like this. So if your credit limit is like $300, you really want to make sure that you know, try not to use it too much, if not that much at all. So because your utilization ratio is going to be, you know, very, very small. So if you only have $300 to work with, I would just use that credit card to buy yourself a cup of coffee or just pay for gas, and then just pay it off at the end of the month. That simple. Like I said, guys, you want to make sure that you are using your credit responsibly, never leaving a balance, and paying off your bill in full every month. And do this for maybe about 6 months to a year. And if when the banks see that you're doing well with your credit card, they may actually give you a credit card credit increase. So they could increase that credit limit from $300 to maybe you know, $1,000, because you've been doing very well, and that's good. And that's what you want to do to maintain, you know, just healthy credit card habits and just proper usage with your cards. If you guys are getting any kind of value from this video, then feel free to go ahead and leave a like button, because it really helps out the channel a lot. You guys can leave a comment down in the comment section below. You guys can talk to me directly and ask me any questions that you guys might have regarding credit, or if it's your first time, you know, what steps should you take, or what kind of credit card should you look into. And then if you guys want to see any videos that are coming from me, feel free to hit the subscribe button. But overall, let's just go ahead and get back into it. Alright guys, so I kind of just want to talk to you guys a little bit about, you know, my thoughts on credit, how I'm using my credit cards a little bit more. So pretty much, I want you guys to keep in mind that credit is not your money, okay? Just always remember that credit is borrowed money. So borrowing means that you got to pay back what you owe. Like we say all the time, at the end of every month, you got to pay back what you owe in full, and never leave a balance on those cards, okay? I'm not here to teach you guys to build credit and get a perfect credit score like that, okay? To me, credit is a long game. It's a game that you're going to be in for the long haul. You want to make sure that you keep healthy habits when using your credit cards, and that's how you're going to be building your credit overall. So if you keep up these healthy habits, your credit limit, your credit will go up over time. So just make sure to keep that in mind. So now when it comes to credit, I like to say all the time, make sure that you have liquid cash available to match what your credit limit is. So you might be thinking about, you know, what are you talking about? Let me explain. I kind of think of it as a game, and this is what I do for myself. Like I say, I was afraid of using credit cards when I started, and to this day, that has not changed. Even though I actually rather enjoy using my credit cards, I do understand the benefits of you know, just making sure the benefits that credit cards can give me, and just making sure that I have money to pay back any type of credit that I use for the long haul. The higher your credit limit, the higher your net worth should be. All right, so that's just what I think. So technically what I'm trying to explain to you guys is you want to have as little risk as possible, okay? So that's what I'm trying to go ahead and give to you guys. Now I'm not going to say, and I'm not going to promise you that you're going to have zero risk, but already just using credit cards, you're already kind of putting yourself at risk. And if you don't play the game right, you can get burned from credit. Alright, you don't want to give them the opportunity. So I'm trying to make sure to tell you guys to make sure you stay on top of it. So for example, let's say your credit limit was $1,000 again. Then I want to encourage you guys to make sure that you have $1,001 saved. or have, $1,100 saved. Always make sure that you have cash available to protect yourself in case anything goes wrong. I'm just coming from a place of security, and I want you guys to feel good and comfortable using your credit card and never having to worry about like, oh, I overused my credit card, I don't have enough money to pay it back. So no, we're gonna have none of that here. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's personally what I like to do, and that's how I make it a game for myself. So the higher my credit limit's gonna be, the higher my net worth or my savings is gonna be. So if you guys like this video, then feel free to leave a comment, leave a like, and hit that bell icon if you want to see any more videos from me going forward. I'm hoping I can continue this journey to teach what I'm learning about my financial life to you guys. And yeah, so I hope you guys are staying safe. Have a good one. Peace.